Hi, everybody. Today we're joined by Kendyl Washburn Miedema. And great to see you, Kendyl. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us.
Yes, good to catch up with you.
Of course, Kendyl is a member of the Harding Sports Hall of Fame. 2017, she was inducted, and we're going to go back and look at her playing days and talk about those. But first, Kendyl, the last time I got to see you, I guess, was at the 2017 induction. You graduated from Harding in '07. Just tell us what's life like now for you in 2020.
Yeah, I guess since college, I did physician assistant school at Harding, and then practiced for about 10 years. And my family recently moved to Fayetteville, Arkansas from Little Rock. So since then, I'm staying home with my two little kids. I've got a 5-year-old little girl and a 1-year-old little boy. And yeah, that's kind of life. It's crazy, but it's a sweet season. So.
And you told me that's why you're sitting outside. You've got a nice day to visit with us because the youngsters are inside, right?
Yes, they're inside. So there would be crying and asking for mom. So I came out here. Yeah.
Well, tell me about coming to Harding. 2004 was your freshman year. And how did you get to Harding University from Midland, Texas?
Yes. Well, I added that up yesterday. I was like 16 falls ago. That is like almost half my life, but I don't feel that old. No, I knew I wanted to play soccer at a Christian university. And at the time, I actually had a cousin who was the graduate assistant on for the volleyball team. It was Coach Gibney at the time. And so they just said, hey, you should come up and look at Harding. And so I didn't know anybody that went there. I'm still surprised. It's not my personality to go somewhere where I don't know anyone. But I'm glad I did. So yeah, that's how I ended up from West Texas in Arkansas.
Well, now I want you to talk about Dr. Greg Harris, your coach at Harding, and I want to read you a quote when I spoke with him earlier last week, and here's quoting Dr. Greg Harris. Kendyl is one of the players that came in and transformed our program to one that competes for conference championships and NCAA bids on a yearly basis. She was a Division I caliber student athlete with a professional work rate. And he also went on to say, I love spending time with and FaceTiming her and her family. She has been an absolute blessing to our Harding soccer family. That's from Dr. Greg Harris.
Oh, that's so nice.
What was it like playing for Coach Harris? He told me some good stories about your freshman year and you getting accustomed to playing for Coach Harris. And I know that you have a great relationship now. What was it like when you first got acquainted with him?
Yes, we do now. My family loves Coach Harris. I will say I was scared of him at first. Who's not a little bit scared of Coach Harris when you meet him as a player? But as soon as I got to know him and his heart and just, knowing that he wanted us to succeed, it was great. He was hard on us. He challenged us. He knew kind of how to push your buttons. If somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to try to show you I can do it. So he knew how to get that out of me. But overall it was a great experience playing for him.
Now let's go back to your freshman year because right off the bat, you came in, you led the team with 13 goals your freshman year, and you had 8 game-winning goals right in your first season as a freshman. You came right in and contributed right off the bat. What was that like?
Honestly, when that stat came up, I wasn't even aware that had happened just because I was the freshman. I was so worried about showing up and doing well. Like, I was surprised I was even starting. And so when someone told me that, I honestly didn't have any idea that I had scored that many game-winning goals. So it was fun. But I think I was just more in like, okay, we've got to, do well every game and win, and more focused on that than really being concerned about statistics.
Well, I'll go even more in depth to that. You scored 7 game-winning goals in your first 10 collegiate games, and that earned you a mention in the Faces in the Crowd page in Sports Illustrated back on October 18th. Did you get any fame from that from back home?
I wouldn't say fame, but it was fun to hear from a lot of people. I remember getting like random phone calls and texts from friends that said they'd seen it. I think my dad was my biggest fan. My parents, your parents keep all your stuff and they send it back to your house when you're grown up eventually. And I was going through that box recently. I think there's about 15 copies of that issue of Sports Illustrated that that we still have of that. Yeah, but that was a pretty neat moment. Yeah, still just something fun to talk about.
Well, if we don't have a copy of that, Nathan Looney, we need to make sure that we get a copy of that from Kendyl, since she has some extra ones. And then you led Harding and tied for 9th in the conference your sophomore year with 27 points. What was it like your sophomore year after you had such a successful freshman year?
Yeah, I remember sophomore year was a little bit different just because freshman year, like I said, I didn't know what I was getting into. And so kind of being a little bit more aware of the conference and stuff. And also that freshman year was the year we got a bid to nationals. I think it was first time for the team. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the mentality was a little bit different sophomore year. Still just as fun though.
Yeah, and you started 18 games that year. You had 11 goals in your sophomore year. And kind of go back and revisit that. You mentioned, and I wanted to talk about going to the national tournament for the first time. Did that impact you as a freshman? Did you realize how big of a deal that was?
Obviously I realized it when it happened. I think going into my freshman year, that wasn't even something that I had on my radar. Like that wasn't a goal. I think all along had been like, I want to play college soccer and I want to play for a winning team. And so to get to do that, I mean, most kids don't get to do that in their career. So that was a pretty neat thing. I mean, I'll always remember getting our bid and just the excitement of our team. But yeah, no, that was definitely a fun time and something that I didn't anticipate when I, signed to play soccer.
And I know you keep up with Dr. Harris and you talk with him, and just to see, we talked with him the other day about the new indoor facility at Harding at the Stevens Soccer Complex, and just the way that whole complex has come about. I mean, do you take a lot of pride in being a big part of building that tradition?
I don't know if I would say I'm proud for them. I wish I got to play on it, but it's so fun to go back. I've taken my daughter back to a game and just to get to show that to her. And just say we didn't have all that stuff, but it's so neat that the players have that now. And that's such a pull for people to come to Harding. I mean, the facilities are amazing. And so, yeah, I'm just a little more jealous, but I guess I could tell the current players where we came from so they could appreciate it a little bit more.
Now, you didn't play in the Great American Conference. Obviously, you played in the Gulf South Conference. What was it like back in those days playing in the Gulf South Conference?
This could just be my memory, but I feel like we had a really high caliber of teams that we played against. There was West Florida. I feel like they were always competing for the national championship. And so I feel like I had the opportunity to play against a lot of great players and coaches during my time in college.
Well, since Coach Harris got to tell some stories on you that I talked about a few moments ago, you have any you want to tell about him and maybe some road trips that you guys went on that maybe stand out in your mind from going back and traveling with the Lady Bisons?
Ooh, I feel like I'm getting a little bit put on the spot, and I do still talk to him, so I want to be on his good side. I think the ones that we would always laugh about is, like, we knew if we didn't play well, that on the way back home, it definitely, like, what we ate depended on how well we played. Or just, just being a little bit fearful about if we were going to have a, not so fun 12-hour drive back to school or what we were going to get to eat. But no, I mean, that's all just jokes. I don't know. I don't have anything too bad.
Well, in 2017, I talked about your induction into the Harding Sports Hall of Fame. What does that honor mean to you?
I don't take that lightly. That was really neat. I mean, I guess that was about 10 years after I graduated to get that letter and to say that we're going to be recognized. Like I said, that's just not something when I came in as a freshman that I would have even thought about. So I really, truly do appreciate that honor and don't take it lightly to be the first soccer player inducted. And I hope there's a lot more in the future just because that will speak well for the program. But no, and that night was just so great. And just to kind of get to revisit all those years of playing, a decade later.
What about favorite games? I mean, I know you said a few moments ago, I'm putting you on the spot. That's what this is for. So I'm going to do it again. And what about favorite games? I mean, are there games that really stick out at you, one in particular or multiple ones?
Yeah, when I think back this many years later, I hate to say, I feel like some of those are distant memories. I do remember one of those game-winning goals my freshman year that stuck out to me, just scoring a goal in the final minutes, and I guess not realizing like how important that was for our team at the time. Christian Brothers was our rival. I don't know if they're in y'all's conference anymore or not, but they used to be our rival. And I will never forget our game that we played them our freshman year, and beating them. And then just our kind of road to the national championship. That freshman year just really sticks out to me. And then I always remember our senior game as well. I think my final goal I maybe scored in that senior game was a header. I don't know if I had any other headers. I'm a really short player, so I don't know why that one has stuck out to me as well. And I've got a lot of memories of just traveling with teammates. Those are just good years. I don't think I realized how what a great time in life that is, and that you're not going to get anything like that back. And so I do cherish those memories with teammates.
Now you mentioned, I talked about your other seasons, your freshman year, sophomore, junior, your senior season. You mentioned the 5 goals in the one game, and how ironic that was actually on senior day, your senior year. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a fun way to go out at home. Our home atmosphere was wonderful. And so just to get to do that in front of, friends and all of our teammates, family members that would always come in town, it's just a fun way to kind of end things.
When I look at the different notes from your senior year, there are all the accolades, ESPN, the magazine Academic All District, also the named Academic All-America that year. And maybe the one that stands out the most is the GSC Women's Soccer Player of the Year in 2007. Do you still tell people about that? And you have little bragging rights about your senior year?
Oh, I don't actually like to talk about awards. Coach will tell you. I don't even like to get on a stage or anything like that. But yes, that was also an honor as well. And I do remember when Coach told me that that I had received that award. I just compare myself to a lot of players, and I don't necessarily think that, why'd they pick me? But such an honor. So.
Well, I tell you what, you look at your statistics. You played in 72 games at Harding and none off the bench. So you don't have any experience coming off the bench. What was it like to start every game that you played in at Harding in 72 games?
Yeah, like I said, when I came in my freshman year, I remember being terrified, and I didn't necessarily think starting was something that I was going to get to do. So I do remember being very excited about that. And just my personality, man, after a start, I don't want to come off the bench. And so that was just a driving factor from there. And I thought about the freshmen this year, just, I guess, not playing until the spring. Is that right?
Yeah, we were all just waiting to see.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a year. I think more freshmen, could, vie for starting positions than ever, just because they're going to have that time to go ahead and, kind of get to jump into the team and gel a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely an honor to start those games.
It's fun, and I challenge all the Harding fans to go and look at the record book on hardingsports.com. And up until just a few years ago, Kendyl was at the top of just about every record that you could find. And when Bethany Sutherland came along, Kendyl, she moved your name down to number 2 on some of those categories.
That's okay.
I just wanted to ask you how you felt about that. Were you keeping up with that at all?
Someone told me, and once again, maybe it was, I don't know if it was my dad or if it was Coach. I'm not sure. They still keep up with that stuff. But no, I was happy because once again, I said, I want the program to do well and succeed. So I do still follow the team and, try to get to a game when I can. It's a little harder now that we've moved. But no, I mean, I want the team to do well. So I'm always rooting them on. And so I was excited to see that had been, broken.
And you mentioned Christian Brothers, had a good rivalry with Christian Brothers. What about any individual players that you can remember butting heads with and playing soccer against that you knew that you were in for a battle?
Yeah, honestly, now I couldn't pull their names out, but I can still picture the girls to this day. So, or if I went back and looked at photos, I could tell you who they are. But yeah, Christian Brothers, for some reason, is the one that I always think of. They were just our big rival at the time.
Well, it's been fun catching up with you, and if you have a word for the Harding fans during this time, obviously with you mentioned the coronavirus right now that we're all just
Yeah.
waiting to see when we can get back to action. What would you say to Harding fans that kept up with you all during your time?
Yeah, no, just thanks for supporting the team. Like I said, now it's kind of fun to be on the other side of things. And I mean, I'm obviously still a ways from having a kid in college, but I've got a 5-year-old that plays soccer now. So just to be on the other side of things, but yeah, just thanks for the support and, stick with it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the spring, and there'll hopefully be a lot of sports that we can, watch and root our teams on. So
Harding Hall of Famer Kendyl Washburn, Miedema, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We wish you and your family all the best.
thanks so much. It's been great to get to catch up.